I'm going to show you guys how to make cardboard tubes to protect the leads on your servo wires. Stick around. Welcome everybody back to Just Plain Crazy. I'm Brennan. Thanks for joining me for another episode again down in the lair. If you're as frustrated right now as I once was because you can't find these, they're not the right size, not the right length, I'm going to show you guys how to make these things right now. Pretty simple process. Let's get to it. All right, guys, supplies you need. You're going to need yourself some craft paper of some kind. This is laminate floor covering from Home Depot. Got a huge roll, so that stuff's only like 20 bucks. Got some wax. That's going to be for a release agent, a tube or a dowel, whatever size you want, a silicone brush, some tape, Type-on wood glue, and then special homemade chicken corn soup. Now this is the important part. It has to be the exact Spring Glen Fresh Foods chicken corn soup, not sponsored by. No, this is a mix of wood glue and water. I do a little more than 50-50, but towards the water side, but you're going to find what works for you. Make a couple tubes, play around with it. It's very inexpensive. And then I have a drywall square, something that you can use to cut. So anyway, what we're going to do is cut a couple 1-inch wide strips. So I have this laid out. We're going to go ahead and trim that stuff off. Let's get to it. Now, make sure you give up Grandma's chicken soup there a good stir. While that sits, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get out the wax. We're only going to wet one of those. You're going to take this one. I guess here, let's go ahead and get out our couple strips of tape. You're going to need 2 pieces of tape. And this is just going to be to hold on the stuff as we wrap it. Just give whatever it is you're working with just a nice coating of wax. I like the carbon better than I do wooden dowels doing this. Now, one of the things that I'll caution you guys about, if you're going to opt to use dowel rods, you're going to need to put a barrier between here and here. So the wax in some cases on the wood works, but in case that cardboard tube works, that glue works really well, it may stick to it. So just go ahead and wrap that thing the same way with a first layer of parchment paper. That stuff doesn't have to sit in there real long. Believe it or not, these are really easy to make. They don't take long at all. You just got to find the right width for your project. Now what we're going to do is we're going to overlay and wrap the rod. Now when I do this, I just start near the top and I just start wrapping it. Now you want to make it tight, but you don't want it so tight that you rip the paper, and you got to get your angle right so you have about 1/8 of an inch overlap. And one of the tricks is that the tighter you can make it, where you don't have any slop, the nicer the tube turns out. And it's really a feel kind of thing. And you'll feel it. It's a rhythm. And it doesn't matter how big or how long the shaft is, contrary to popular belief. What you want to do is just make your stuff wider. And if you don't like the way, like here towards the end, it started to fall, the wheels fell off the wagon here a little bit with just the angles. you can just unravel it. Keep going. All right. Now, as I wrap the ends, I don't get real concerned on the ends because I wind up cutting those off anyway. So now what you want to do is you're going to wrap this essentially the opposite direction of this one to give it strength. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and get some tight bond on here. We're going to take a silicone brush, works best because it rinses off, but this will really help to bond everything between the layers and really give it strength. And this stuff smears around really, really well, so you don't need to give it a bath. And now we're going to start with our dry one, and we're going to go the opposite direction that we did in the last one. And this is where you're going to get a lot of that bound up strength. Now if you want to, you can right out of the gate put tape on there to hold it. So if you get yourself a good wrap right out of the start, take our other piece of tape. And we'll use that as a holder. Now, if you want to, for your last step, give this thing just a coating. Touch. This, it almost just helps to waterproof it. So that way as it sits in the plane, it doesn't get anything in it. All right, guys, now has to sit overnight. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, guys, we're now on to the next day, day 2, if you will. Our carbon tube is nice and dry. We still have our tape on our end. So a couple things here. Number one, you could peel the tape off if you wanted to. We're going to cut those ends off anyway, or you can leave it on. Doesn't really matter because I didn't tape it to the carbon tube. All I did was just tape around it to prevent the ends from unfurling. So what I like to do here is these tubes are nice and strong. It's just push down on the bench until I can start working it enough to grab the end of the tube and work at sliding this thing off. And they're a nice tight fit, so you're going to have to put some muscle into it. Sometimes you can just work them back and forth a little bit. That helps too. Like that. All right, so now that we have our tube off, we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut these ends off. So let's turn the camera around. I'll show you that. Here you can see below, we're just getting ready to get our upper wing set started on the pits build. But I'm just going to go ahead and make a nice cut right down through that cardboard. That end's cut off. Let's flip it. All right, guys, now that we have our ends cut off, you can look in the inside of the tube. I'll try and pan it so you can see with the camera. I don't know, hopefully that works. But anyway, the inside is perfectly smooth on this thing. If we're going to make an oval of it, we can go ahead and crush it into an oval shape. And then once I have it cut to length and position where I want it to, obviously wood glue works well to attach it into place, but now you can just wood glue those ends and seal those things back up, so that way no moisture starts to deteriorate the ends of your cardboard tubes. Seal those things up. So don't waste your time buying them. Go make your own. Again, guys, it's Brendan here, Just Plain Crazy. I appreciate you hanging out and watching. That makes you just plain crazy. Also, I hope that little tidbit helps you guys. Smash that thumbs up button if it did. It helps us out a lot. Like, share, subscribe, all the cool shameless plug stuff. Don't forget the official Instagram and Just Plain Crazy pages. So this is the 47% EMHW Pit Special build. This was just a small portion of it. If you enjoyed it and you want to follow along, make sure you're subscribed. With that being said, I wish you guys happy flights. Peace out.